Thanks for tuning in here. Just had a great conversation with Jeremy Jewla. He's a husband, father, business owner, restaurant owner, Original Pancake House. Just an amazing leader. Great guy who really thinks things through. He's got just a great sense of humor. But you're going to love this conversation. We have just a ton of fun sitting down and talking about the challenges in life and how life can be a bully. That's actually his words. That's there's a lot of truth to that. So we get into that. We talk about how life is hard and what that resiliency is that's needed, to be able to get back up. You got something hard that comes your way and to be able to jump into that and say, I'm going to get up. And something that was interesting being able to jump into this was really uncovering that imposter syndrome when you feel like that voice inside says, who are you? Are you good enough to do this? Who are you? You don't have something to offer. The answer to that is yes, you do. And you're going to want to jump into this. Feeling a long day and feeling the change of weather. So as I'm on the end of this night in conversation, I'm starting to wear out. So you can jump into this conversation where we're both fresh and sipping on something nice. This is actually a long episode at hour and a half, and you're going to love that. Take it on the road with you. Sit down with a cup of coffee or a nice little bourbon. Take it on your commute and enjoy the conversation. So, hey, thanks for tuning in. Follow along. We got some great things coming up with Righteous Go. We got a shop that's opening up with some great swag that you're going to love. Great t-shirts. We've got journals coming out. The book is coming out. The book is finished and in gear for that. Wow, a lot of good stuff. So stay tuned with this. And also, if you want to stay tuned, every week I'm putting out a new writing, something on a topic to keep you up to date, not only just with what's happening with Righteous Co., but leader things that's going to help fuel you as you dream and do ahead. And stay righteous because, well, it's in the name. It's in the blood. So, hey, thanks. God bless you. Have a great night or a good day, however you're reading this, and we'll see you soon.
So anyways, Mount LeConte.
Let me do a quick little
Oh,
intro
okay,
here,
okay.
and then
All right, sure.
We're gonna jump into this. Hey, welcome back to the Iron Ore Podcast. I'm joined here today with the great Jeremy Jewla.
Wow. Thanks.
Yes. Oh man, this is awesome.
It is good.
Yeah, it is good. So, husband, father, extraordinaire, small business owner, restaurateur.
Mm-hmm.
What do they call that with the houses?
With the houses?
Yeah, when you're homesteader, right? Amateur
yeah,
homesteader.
Yeah.
We're gonna get into some fun stuff today.
Yeah, we just made the big move.
Yes. Okay, so there's a lot to crack open here.
There is a lot to crack open, yeah.
Hey, I'm glad you guys are here. Thanks for tuning in. If this conversation is your style, then subscribe, like, share, all that kind of stuff. You know the drill when it comes to these types of things. But we were just talking about the iron ore trip. And so we'll spare you that one. But it has actually led us into a conversation because Jeremy...
It's a true underdog story.
It is an underdog story, right?
It was cool. I'm glad you told me. It's better than just like, we went there, climbed the mountain. It was nice. We went down, had some drinks, and no, there was some drama. There was some tension and conflict. It was good.
There was. And resolution.
Yeah.
And victory.
Yeah.
It was awesome. And
How many in total guys did you have?
There was 15 of us. And
that's a pretty solid group.
It was awesome.
You guys carpool down?
In some ways, some guys met us down there. Some met here. This was kind of the caravan location. So
nice.
If they wanted to join us, they can hop on in. So everybody met here. Well, not everybody, but those who were going to jump in. Jumped in at 8. Everyone got loaded up, hit the road. We got out there at a pretty good time. But it was just an awesome trip. But that's behind us because... Actually, you're not going to be able to see this up there, but we got New York State map up here. This is like my victory board of
Okay.
conquering New York.
Oh, that's cool.
We're gonna fill that puppy up, but the next stop is here in Buffalo. Next year is gonna be the retreat in Buffalo. So I'm just gonna try to drive as many guys to that as possible, and
Do you have a goal? Do you have like a number in mind of how many people you want?
I would love 50.
Yeah.
That's kind of what I'm shooting for. Maybe that's too bold for this, but I'm shooting for 50.
Okay.
I think I can get 50 guys on this.
All right.
And because
Do
it's
you
gonna
always
be local.
do it like around August?
Yeah, I think this is gonna anchor
Okay.
itself into August.
Lock me in, dude.
Yeah.
Lock me in.
Oh, let's go.
Yes.
Oh, right.
Yep.
Hey,
It's
you
on
heard
record.
that.
I can't back out now. I guess I could. I'd just be a huge loser if I
Well,
did.
look, I'll play this back for you.
Yeah.
And say, listen,
Yep, lock me in.
you did this on the podcast. You have to be in. But stuff comes up. I mean, you're a family man. You get it. Toilet overfilled. Baby's lost at
Don't
sea,
wish
man.
that on me.
Like,
Don't do that to me.
I gotta stay back.
It's a
Look,
new
I
house,
get it.
man.
I get it.
You know, I swear to God, like as soon as you move into a new house, like there's just things that shouldn't go wrong, that do go wrong. Like like a ceiling fan with the light in the center of the living room. Like there's no way that it's such a coincidence that as soon as you move in, it stops working. Like change the batteries on the thing, and we literally just ordered a new like remote from Amazon. So I was like, it's got to be that. It's like the transmitter or whatever. Nope, it's not that. So I don't know. I'm not an electrician. And also the garage door opener. So stoked to have like an automatic garage door opener. The week we move in, it stops working. I'm like, there's no way. Like, what is this?
The gremlins are out for you.
It always happens, all right.
It's always
part of the
something,
fun.
right?
Yeah.
But that's home ownership. At least you own
I know.
it, right? So this is yours. All right, it's your problem, but your problem to fix. And I think there's a certain degree of freedom to that because when it's your own stuff, then you care. It's you're renting, whatever. It doesn't matter. But once you start putting your ownership on the line, then you're like, wait a minute, I'm taking pride in this. We're getting that fixed. I love that. I'm behind on a number of projects here myself, but
It never ends, dude.
It
The
never
list,
ends,
the list
yeah.
just keeps on going. So I want to finish this LeConte story for you.
All right,
Okay.
start us from the beginning.
Okay.
because-
So we were talking about
Yeah.
Marcy, right? Yeah, you did Marcy.
Right.
So whatever. So years ago, my girlfriend and I were dating. We drove up to Maine to Acadia, which is cool because you guys are going there in a couple of years.
Yep.
So we just pick Mount LeConte. I don't know if I'm pronouncing that right, whatever. It's a big boy. It's the big boy of the area, and we're like, we could do it. On our way up, we're just like F-bombing, like was a mistake, like just frustrated, like like when you're making a climb up a mountain and you're like, I can see the top, it's right there, and like you're like hiking for 90 more minutes, you're like, I thought we were there, like that was us, like to a T, just getting really frustrated. But we finally make it to the top, and it was awesome, like it's so worth it. Like we're the only ones up there. Yeah, it was that moment that you want, right? Anyways, so we're going back down, and now I got to backpedal on the story again. So when you start the hike, I'm pretty sure just about like an hour or 2 hours in, it's a very easy walk. So it's there's a lot of foot traffic, and a lot of families, kids go there because there's like 2 hours in, there's a waterfall, and it's just really cool spot, right? So heavily polluted with people. On our way back, we get to this point, and now we're so dead tired. We're like, okay, I remember this landmark, and we're just like trying to remember, like almost arguing, probably like, yeah, we only have an hour left. No, it was like 2 hours to this point, like we've had it. We just want to be done in our car driving home to whatever Airbnb we were staying at. And we pass the falls, and we're just like head down, watching our feet because we have no energy left. We're tripping over everything. And we look up, and there's this family of, I don't know, I don't want to be insulting, but I'll call them like foreigners, right? They clearly weren't from the area, just like us, just like traveling. What do they call those people? Traveling visitors?
Tourists.
Tourists, thank you. I can't think of that word. So they're tourists, and they stop us. They're like, excuse me, how much longer to the falls? And we're just like, don't even like, dude, we're literally like 15 minutes from, like, we hear the road, we see the cars, we're there, and they literally been walking for like 15 minutes. They're in sandals and flip-flops, and they're like, how much longer to the falls? And we're like, don't even bother. It's literally like, it's 7 o'clock, like, night is coming, and these people just want to know, like, hey, they're all like chipper, like ready to go see some cool falls, and we've had the worst day of our life with like a small glimpse of awesome. And yeah, it was.
Oh no. Well,
We told
shoot.
them. We didn't say get lost. We were like, it's gonna be another couple hours for you.
It's funny seeing people outside of that element, just unprepared, and here you are, you're kind of like,
Dude.
you're already in the zone.
Yeah.
Last year on Algonquin, we stopped at one of the little waterfalls that were there, and the guys are watering up, but they have filters. Kyle had this water filter, and so he's kind of fueling up, and you don't drink the water, right? You don't just get down and drink the water.
Oh, no way.
I think it's pretty standard, right? No,
Yeah. You got like the Sawyer water filter or whatever, Life Straw, something like that.
right. Then you're okay, or you boil it, or whatever the case if you're camping out there, but you just don't drink from the stream. I think that's 101. Anybody walking out in the woods should know, like, you just don't drink the water, right? Even if it looks great. Maybe go for a swim. You don't drink the water.
Bacteria, viruses.
Okay, we're on the same page.
Yeah.
So we're at this watering hole. Everyone's kind of taking a little break. And I see this guy, right?
Dude.
And he's filling up his water bottle from the stream. And it's not like, hey, I'm just getting it from the falls where maybe you're lost in translation. Like, that's the fresh stuff, right? But he's getting it from the swill, the stuff that's just pooling at the bottom. And it's not like, hey, this is a great crystalline looking water. It's kind of murky. And he's dipping his water bottle into this thing. And I'm watching him do this. And the guy looks sick. He's got the, not like, hey, I've been working hard, but like the pale sweats, right? He does not look good. He's got like dark rings around his eyes and just looking ill. His wife or his girlfriend or whatever's there, and she's looking concerned, and he's trying to just fuel up. And I'm thinking, well, maybe he's just gonna like use it, like maybe this is a splash bottle, right?
Dude, he's poisoning himself.
He's poisoning himself. And I'm looking on this in concern because the guy looks like he has a bug. Like he's been drinking feces.
Like they've been there just on a week's vacation. This is their 5th peak, and he does this at every single one where he's just like, oh, this is great. And now he's like, I don't know why I feel bad.
He looks like he needs to go to the hospital, right? He looks that bad. And I tell his girlfriend, I'm like, hey, listen, he should not be drinking this water. I think you really need to take him to see a doctor. And he's sitting there swigging this stuff.
Oh my God.
And they're foreigners. I don't think he understood what I was saying. She understood what I was saying, and she looked pretty concerned. And then they headed off, and I was like, boy.
Dude, it was probably the same family that I saw in Maine.
Maybe.
It was probably the same ones.
Flip-flops and all?
Yeah.
Here's a tip. Don't drink the water.
Don't drink the water.
Don't drink the water.
Don't wear flip-flops on a mountain hike.
No. It's just
sandals.
It's not good. It's not
good.
I wore sneakers on my first mountain. And that was a mistake.
I did that too, yeah.
It was a mistake.
We all start somewhere.
You learn as you go. But don't drink the water. That's 101.
Yeah.
Right? If you got to take your sneakers up there and you learn, okay, fine. You don't have a flashlight on you, okay, fine.
You know what, though?
Don't drink the water.
Excuse me, maybe I'm being too hard on these people. Maybe, like, because when I went, it was like, granted, sneakers to start, but like hiking boots and the proper clothing and like the backpack with the water bladder. And I'm laughing at people wearing like sneakers and like gym shorts with a bottle of Poland Spring water. I'm like, there's no way you're getting to the top and down. There's no way someone's carrying you or dragging you out of here, right? But maybe they're not. Maybe they're just like, I'm just going to go walk around for a couple hours. They could be. In my mind, I'm like, you don't do this unless you're going to the top, right? But maybe they're just like, I'll just walk around a little bit.
Yeah, just checking it out.
Just checking it out, dip my toes
looking
in.
up at the peak, it's a beautiful peak.
I'm going to look up.
You should be well watered, though.
I'm being too hard on them.
maybe those are the people that are drinking the
Yeah.
amoebas from the.
Right.
the pond.
Maybe the amoebas. Yeah. I can't
Oh
imagine what
boy.
I look like though to the people that are running up and down those mountains.
You know, so Kyle, he was on the other podcast. He was with us on this. Sometimes I'm thinking like, man, Kyle's a 46er, almost like 2 times over, right? He does all of these challenges. Now I'm thinking, I look like a noob, you know. And there's always somebody who's hitting a mountain or hitting something harder than you, you know. And that's just life, right? I mean, like, how often do you actually be the best out of everybody, you know? So you're always learning something, and so you're always on some
Yeah.
tier where somebody's ahead of you.
Yeah.
And okay, you know, and maybe you're drinking the pond water. Maybe that's your starting
Right,
spot,
right.
right?
No, dude, that's such a true testament. Like so many times in life and in family and in work, you're just like, I think I know exactly what I'm supposed to do. Like this is the recipe for success. And then you do it. And then you're doing it for like 5, 6 years. And then you have a moment where you're like, oh my God, I was doing that all wrong. Isn't that funny how that happens? It's just
And
like
just
6 years of confidence, complete confidence. I am running through this, winning gold medals. And then all of a sudden you're just like, oh, nope, I was wrong the whole time. Those wake up calls are something.
it it hits you, right?
Yeah.
And but that's such a paradigm shift because all of a sudden now you've excelled. It's like you made the next level. Where you're like, okay, I've leveled up.
Right. That's
Right.
so funny. Yeah, when you realize that you've been screwing up the whole time is when you get the next level. Like that's the check mark. I know I'm not advancing unless I'm realizing that I'm screwing up somewhere.
Right, right. Oh boy, that happens way too often.
That you're leveling up.
Leveling up, you know. But I think that's the strength of the growth, right? Is you're never done. You know, you're always improving, and so I think where the fear comes in is that just stops you from even starting because, like, well, I'm just gonna screw up. I'm not that good. You know, I'm not good enough to do that. It's like, well, you just get started and you learn along the way. Iterations, you know, like, okay, you get started. Here's my baseline, right? I'm gonna screw this up. So you screw it up, but you learn something, right?
Yeah.
And then you,
I can't remember who told me this, but somebody and it's one of those simple little lines that just stuck with me. Said when you don't know where you're going, any road will take you there. And
well,
it's
that's
like it's
true.
amazing how simple that is, yet it's so hard to just start off. I mean, not even like a big philosophical step in life, a big planning thing, but even for me, just like working out, like it's so hard for me to get started. The dieting thing, I mean, I have so much of my years where I'm just like, I'm, I am purposely not trying. Like I know you're in the back of my head, and I'm just shoving you so far away from my life. Like I don't. I want to eat this food. I know it's not good for me. I want to have this drink, and yeah, it's so tough, dude. It's so tough just to get started. And then when you get started, you're like, oh man, this is great. This is awesome. Like, I'm on a roll. And then by like day 9, I'm like, something happens. There's a birthday party, right? It's always like a birthday party, some kind of celebration where you're like, I'm not supposed to be doing this. And then you do it. And then the next day, you were up too late the day before, so you're tired or groggy, or you ate bad food, so your body feels like crap. Because you're telling your body one thing, you're like, yeah, months and months and months of just bad food, and then all of a sudden it's like healthy food. They're like, whoa, all right, we're doing this, you know? So like by day 10 or 11, they're like, all right, man, good job. We like how we feel. And then day 12, they're like, all right, little setback, little setback. And then like by day 30, they're like, I guess we're back in this thing again. They're just like eating bad food and just not exercising. Yeah. That's my life. That's my exercise, my fitness in a nutshell. It's not good. I'm not proud of it.
yeah,
But
well,
I'm just accepted it at this point.
we all do things we're not proud of, right?
Yeah.
And I'll pray for you.
Thank you. I'm not sure it's gonna be enough.
Have you
But
done Exodus 90?
no, but Dan told me about it.
Oh man,
Yeah.
I was actually just talking to my brother earlier today about it, and you want to talk about something super intentional.
Mm-hmm.
Exodus 90 was really intentional on building up that discipline, because it's one thing when you're doing your disciplines or you're trying to course correct by yourself. It's another thing when you've got a group of guys that you're all doing the same thing, and you have something that you're fighting for. So you go into it with a why, like why am I actually doing this? It's one thing if you're like just trying to self-start. You're like, okay, I want to improve this little nugget, and so you're kind of advancing. You're playing along the way, but there's something about having that accountability when you've got guys in your corner that are just in the same pursuit. You all have the same parameters, different whys, but same parameters. Like here's what we're agreeing to do,
Mm-hmm.
and you come to that table with the other guys after a week, and you indulged in that cheesecake. You're like, oh man, I got to bring that to the table. Because it's an honest conversation, right? Like, guys, I fell short on this. I'm like, well, I failed in this, but you're thinking, okay, next time I got to report back again. Am I going to take that cheesecake? Probably not, because you know that you have to go and report back in with the guys, and so there's a whole tiered list of things that you take on for aesthetic living for 90 days, and it kicks your butt, and nobody aces it, right?
Yeah, I bet.
But
Yeah.
but there's a lot of growth in the midst of that.
Yeah.
But that discipline really builds up because, okay, day 30, now you're already past the, hey, we're doing this, I'm super charged up, to the lows of, oh, I'm still doing this. Oh, man, I'm only day 25 out of 90, right? Then you get to, like, okay, well, I can pick myself up for that. So day 30, you're already on the ascent again.
Mm-hmm.
But then 4 days later, you've just been kicking rocks. You're just like, oh, man. And so you go through this whole up and down motion of what that charge is, but you're doing that with a group of guys,
Mm.
and
That's kind of the glue that like keeps you on path.
it keeps you in the game.
Okay.
It gets you to the finish line.
Yeah.
And I think the strongest part is having a why. So I did it 3 times through, and each time was with Ani and the kids. Like, I wanted to be a better husband and a father for it.
Mm.
When you pair up a strong why to the things that you're doing, like, I want to be better for Ani. Boy, that really hits you in the gut, and so you're like, yeah, I want to have mastery over this. Like,
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to embrace the fight, the cold shower, right?
Mm-hmm.
And that's the worst part of it. I hate the cold showers.
Right.
I can't stand them.
Dude, a lot of people swear by it.
Cold showers?
Yeah. There was a moment in my life where, I don't know, the algorithms were just throwing me like podcasts and like little YouTube videos, people saying like, just talking about this motivated, disciplined life. And the first thing in the morning was the cold shower. And they're like, you don't want to do it. It's the worst thing in the world. But when you're done with it, you're glad you did it. And I haven't tried it, so it doesn't resonate with me at all. I can't relate.
I hated every moment of the 3 runs that I did with the ice shower. But this past springtime summer, I was getting wooed back into cold showers because I fell into that algorithm where I was hearing a lot of the cold shower talks, like the Iceman Wim.
Okay.
I forget his last name, but huge cold water guy. He just advocates for all the health benefits to that. And I'm thinking, well, maybe, but been there, done that. I'm not that interested. Then I watched that series on Disney Plus with Chris Hemsworth. I'm blanking out the name of that one too. But where he goes and he pushes his body to these different challenges, right? And one of them was this cold water challenge, and they go through the benefits of cold water and all that kind of stuff. I'm like, you know what? Maybe I need to revisit this back in my life. And so for the early spring through the summer, I was doing cold showers again. Although at that point, it's not like the ice cold showers that, when you're doing Exodus in January, your pipes aren't that cold. So it wasn't that brutal. But I started appreciating more of the, like, that charge you get from it. And being a little more fresh of the mind, right? And it helped with some of the inflammation that I was having. And I started seeing something about that. I was like, you know what? Maybe there is something to this. So Then I kind of gave it up with the summertime because just weren't cold showers, right? They're just lukewarm, you know. And I'm like, well, might as well put the hot water on, and I'll be
Right.
all right.
I know.
You
Isn't
know,
that funny? You get the little tease,
Look,
and you're like, might as well just go all the way. Like,
might
I
as well.
smell the French fries, so I might as well just down a whole pizza to myself, you know?
Right, you know. And so then I was back on the hot train, and I'll probably square back up again with maybe doing some cold showers again. But if I can
Okay.
get my brothers into Exodus 90
Yeah.
for this year, I got one more run in me. Even Anya was like, if you can get your brothers, you can do it. So
Oh man, I love it, but I don't because like I just I think the last time I had a really strong moment of like building the why
hmm,
in regards to like my health and fitness. I really wanted to buy in that it was going to be a lifestyle. Like not just like a period of like got to get in beach season because that's a moment in time. Not just like to lose some pounds because that's just like that's just a short-term goal, right? Like I think it has to be bought in to just know like this is what I want my lifestyle to be like. This is how I want to feel all the time. This is what I want to eat all the time. And to attach a reason why you want it to be your lifestyle, that's challenging too because it's a long commitment. But I totally agree with you. Like if you have the strong why, it builds that foundation, right? Like so when you have those moments of smelling the French fry or dipping into warm water, it's a lot harder to like cheat and go against the why
hmm,
because you're really just lying to yourself at that point. And it's more it's funny because you can lie to yourself often, but when you have the strong why, it's just more impactful. You feel worse about it for some reason, you know.
because you're fighting for something, right? And you're
Yeah,
fighting for something
right,
that
right,
matters.
right.
And in a
Y-
way, you feel like they're counting on me to do
Yeah,
this.
you built this belief system, and yeah, you're going against it.
Mm, that's wild.
It is wild.
So you're on the podcast. This
I am
comes
on a
full
podcast.
circle.
It does come full circle. It's pretty
So,
cool.
so Jeremy here joined me, what, February?
It was cold out.
It was cold out.
Yep.
That time we were down at the Buffalo Library.
Mhm.
The wind was,
It
it was
was
cold.
cold Buffalo City wind.
Yep.
Yeah.
Howling right through the city streets, and
Yep.
we make our way over to the Buffalo Library. And we test out their studio there.
Yeah.
It's actually a pretty nice studio for
Mhm.
a library.
Yeah.
And it's just the way that logistically trying to get people down there with parking and, you know, putting some bourbon into the mix. It's just,
Right.
it's easier to do this right here. And I still have some more technology to kind of pump this thing up with. But you were there from the beginning doing the test runs here. And now you're on the full episode.
That's cool.
It is pretty
That's
cool.
cool. I'm proud of you, man.
Dude, I'm proud of you.
Stop it. You can't take a compliment. That's why you just like to.
Oh,
Usually people do
you're
that with
probably
things
right
like
about
problems where they're like, here's a problem. Nope, you take it. Like,
that. You're
yeah.
probably right about that. I'm
Yeah,
sorry.
that's
Thank
okay.
you.
Yeah.
How's about that?
Yeah.
But thanks for being on here.
Yeah, of
So,
course.
tell me about where you're at in life. So you just moved into a new house.
Yeah, so we just moved. We closed on the old house. And that's a weird thing. It's the first time I've ever done that where
Hmm.
there's just so much up in the air kind of. And it definitely wasn't just like your hike. Like there was some serious trials and tribulations to this whole process.
Hmm.
Even back before we had any offers in. And but it was good. You know what's really funny is I don't know why I say that. It's not I guess I can kind of laugh at it, but it's I don't know what to call it. It's a thing. Right. So I was at work and someone at work was just like, "Hey, how's it going?" Just like passing by. And I was at a point in life where so many of these things were adding up, where it was like things with the house, things with work, things with life, just like health issues, health scares, big kind of scary stuff, right? And I was like, man, life's a bully right now. That's what I said. I was like, life's a bully. And this person kind of laughed and they were like, oh wow, and then just like I'm not gonna go in the whole conversation, but that's the point of it. I describe life as a bully, and what is kind of funny is like there was some follow through on that. So like every about once a week, I would run into this person again at work. They'd ask me again like, "How's things going?" Like really hope things are turning around for you in a genuine way. And I was like, "No, life's still hard. Life's still a bully."
Mm.
And it was after a certain amount of these things when I had this wake up moment. I was like, I can't be thinking of life as a bully like this. It's not. It's like a personal trainer. It's it's like pushing you to your limits. It's testing just like a personal trainer. Tests your muscles. It builds the strength. You got to sweat it out. You got to go through the pain to get stronger so you can endure more.
Mm.
And it was the same kind of thing. So ever since I had that moment, I can't remember where it was in this whole process of like life and work and home moving and all that stuff. I don't know if it probably seemed like like to my wife, it probably seemed like I had a numbness to these things when things popped up. I was just like, okay, we'll figure it out. But that could totally be insensitive, right? To someone who's in the moment, anxious about something, really nervous, and the one person that they go to is just like, yeah, we'll figure it out. It's just like so dismissive, right? But I wasn't coming off that way at all. I was like, no, really, like, I'm at the point in my life now where, like, I don't care what happens. Like, we clearly have made it this far. We've had, I don't know, 2 dozen stumbles on this short walk to here. I don't care what happens. Like we're gonna figure it out and we're gonna make it to the other side. Even if it's not perfect, we're gonna make it to the other side.
Mm.
And I don't know. I'm just glad that moment happened. Now I'm kind of like grateful for all the crap that we went through. It's built me up a little bit.
So, can I poke into that?
Yeah.
Um, can
I'm
you give
so
a
glad
couple?
you said the word poke because there's something I want to talk to you about with that
Oh,
word. Yeah.
okay, all right.
Yeah.
But first,
Sure. First. Yeah.
tell me about some of that hard stuff, right? If you don't mind sharing, right?
Okay.
Maybe an example or two of
Mm.
what was hard in that season.
Um. So one that's still a little ongoing. Um. It's probably going to be hard to understand like the gravity of everything unless you see everything.
Hmm.
Because a couple of these things, they're just like, yeah, everybody's got stuff like this. And I'm sure a lot of people have it a lot worse than I do. I know for a fact they do. I'm super blessed, super fortunate to have everything that I have and for my life to be the way it is. Um, trying to think. It took us a long time to find a house that was going to be a good fit for us that we could afford. That was one. So just like the trials and the failures of getting there. Um, another example with this house, like, so we were maybe 3.5, maybe 4 weeks from our closing date, and the bank that I was going with just denied me. They're like, yeah, we're not going to give you that. We're not going to approve the loan.
Oh,
I was
jeez.
like, what? This is nuts. This is crazy. I won't get into the details, but pretty much it was a huge scramble to get another bank, and they're awesome. They got everything in gear, and we're here now. So,
Mm.
but that was going on, and there was just like some health issues with the wife, with one of the kids, just like a minor surgery kind of thing. But when they do pre-ops, they do blood work and all that stuff. They
Mhm.
found some weird things, and it just like prolonged the tension to where like, listen, we understand it's a simple process, simple surgery, but there's still anxiety about it, right?
Sure.
And then to add a little, well, now we can't do the surgery because we got to investigate this weird thing that's going on. And you're like, wow, okay, so now that mounts a little bit more. And then the waiting time from like doing tests to getting results and doing tests and getting results. Found out it was a big nothing burger, which is nice. But still, when all that stuff is happening, plus with just the stress of work, I mean, everybody's got that, the responsibilities and everything. They're
Sure.
always there, and they always come in waves. And so it was just a lot of that kind of stuff. I don't know if I answered your question well enough, but just some examples, I guess.
Yeah, I mean that's a good glimpse. But isn't that scary? When you have because you can deal with the work stuff, right?
Hmm.
Because that comes, it's expected, and the waves that you're talking about. But when it's your kid, that I think that hits in the soft spot. At least for
Hmm.
me. I mean, I'm not in your shoes with that, but I can imagine the weight of that. Where that's scary. If my
Hmm.
kids were sick like that, and I've had my kids sick, where we haven't had to have surgeries with them or anything, but it hits you in a soft spot. Like as a dad, you want to protect your kids, so you get defensive about it.
I know.
Boy, I can see where that gets
It's
pretty sensitive.
I don't know. One thing that I'm definitely grateful to recognize is that like such a huge percentage, like maybe somewhere like 80+% of your life is things you can't control. You think of how much you plan for things in life, and then think of how many times those plans have to be altered, even if it's in a small way. I plan on waking up at 6. Well, now I just snooze to 6:30 because that's on me, right? But then I don't know. You plan on getting on work at a certain time, and now there's extra traffic in the way. Whoa, that was crazy. You something up there on the shelf there. Anyways, I don't know. I don't know if I get deep into it, but it's a crazy thing. How much of life is just the unplanned stuff, unpredicted, just the way the universe or whatever it is just interjects itself, and you gotta reset your course. Gotta adjust along the way.
Well, how do you respond, right? Because anything can happen at any moment, but it's up to you. How do you respond to it?
I think a lot of that starts with mindset. It starts with a good mindset. I was lucky enough to have a mentor teach me. How does it go now? Change the things you can. Influence things that you can't. Is that how it goes? Change the things you can. Influence what you can't, and forget all the rest. So, I think when life throws you changes, it's like, all right, what can I do about it? Can I do something about it? Let me do something about it. If I can't do something about it, let me try to influence it. And if none of that works, just forget about it. It is what it is.
The sage, Jeremy Jewla.
Dude.
I'm gonna make like
The sage.
those posters from like the '90s, the inspirational quotes with like a mountain backdrop, and you have the quote at the bottom.
Okay, yeah. All right.
I'm gonna quote this and make a poster out of that.
Okay.
Jeremy Jewla.
No, I think this is almost like it's a sidestep to, and I just heard it said today. Isn't it a certain type of prayer where it's like, God, give me the strength to. You got it. Serenity. The Serenity Prayer?
Serenity Prayer.
Yes.
From St. Francis.
I feel like it's a spin-off of that.
Yeah. It feels like that, right?
Give me the strength to change the things I can and accept the things I can't and have the wisdom to understand the difference or see the difference. Something like that.
That's it.
Paraphrasing.
Yeah, that's it.
Yeah.
Right.
It's very similar.
But I think there's wisdom to that.
Mm-hmm.
Right?
Yeah.
And because you can't control everything. And to attempt to is futile. Right? You just... It's a losing battle. You'll never win that. You can't control all
You lose yourself in it, especially like I see people who there's one person that I've really been working on, really been trying to groom for a leadership position because I see a lot in this person, right? And we've been working for maybe almost a year now, and there's been so much growth, which I love to hang my hat on. But again, this was the person who their biggest battle was learning how to deal with things when they don't go the way they want them to. And it took a while for me to realize that was the root of a lot of this stuff, right? But I finally got it. I finally brought it to light, and I brought their understanding of it to my understanding of it. We married those things. So now we're really making a lot of headway, and it's a pretty cool process to see.
Wow.
But yeah, I think that's a lot of people, right? But
I was just dealing with that today with my son, right? So, this is an all ages thing.
Yeah.
This isn't just something that you deal with when you're older. It starts when you're young. And so today, I come walking in from work, and first thing I see is Wyatt sitting on the floor over here by the back door, and just kind of despondent, right? Just sitting there pouting a bit. And I asked him, what's wrong with him? Well, he didn't get to watch his video. He didn't get what he wanted. And so I go over and kneel next to him, like, Pal, what's going on? You all right? And he's just got that face. You okay, pal? What's going on? And you could tell he was crying, right? He had the track marks of just tears.
The
right?
evidence.
And he's like, I'm upset. I'm like, pal, you can't and I just had this conversation. I was like, pal, if it's outside of your control, just take a deep breath and walk away from it. Like life's too short. I told him, I'm like, life's too short, pal. And here he is, the little guy, 4 years
Right,
old,
I know.
right? But life's too short to be hung
Mm-hmm.
up on that, because if you get consumed by that, you're wasting life. You're getting anxiety and anger for stuff that is just beyond what you can master, right?
Mm-hmm.
You can't control that. So
Oh man, I'm a bad interrupter. I'm sorry.
no, dude, that's what this is
I'm
about.
so bad at it. That's one of those things like I'm in behavior change process, and the first one is recognizing when you're doing it. So that's like I'm starting to stop myself in the middle of interrupting somebody.
I'm
So
here to embrace it.
all right,
So
thanks, bud.
I'm a
Thanks,
bad
pal.
accountability
All
partner.
right. And now I explained that and I probably forgot half of what I wanted to say. What were we talking about? Oh, the way we respond to things. I want to say it was like some guy talking about stoicism
Hmm.
and how he might have been quoting one of the like Roman emperors, maybe Marcus Aurelius.
That would make sense. I feel like
Maybe,
he
I
was
don't
a
know.
big,
I'm
he
totally
was a
way
big
off.
stoic, so that would make
Okay,
sense.
all right, cool. Um, I'm paraphrasing again, but it was like we don't get mad at the thing that happens. We get mad because of the way we judge what happened.
Hmm.
And it's probably a horrible job explaining what I heard because it was much more eloquently put and made more sense. But if you think about it, like, I don't know, in a way, like, if you spill a whole bottle of, like, nice bourbon, like, yeah, maybe that's a bad example. If somebody does something to you, like, gets in your grill, and, like, what is that? If you think about it, it's nothing. Like, they're just doing a thing. If you can think of it that way, they're just doing something. They're behaving a certain way. They're saying something to you. It's words. You're choosing to judge those things as something that you should get upset about. I don't know if I'm doing a bad job explaining this, but is there anything there? Maybe I'm reaching. Look up Marcus Aurelius when you can and see if you can find it.
I'll see if I can pull up that.
Yeah,
I'll try to pull up that quote here and just like put it underneath in a nice font
sure.
for people to reference and say.
I'll try to find the thing on my way home too, and I
Mm.
gotta reference it. Yeah.
But I think when you're talking about this wisdom, right, is to be able to recognize that the stuff is out of our reach. But then how do you adjust to it, right? There's probably a lot of people talking about how to do that. We go into your part of interrupting, right? Just recognizing it at 1st,
Mm-hmm.
but recognizing like how do I respond when things are out of my control, and am I squaring up to that in a way that I can maybe adjust in the future? Because if you don't even recognize it, if it's beyond that reach, then you're just in trouble with it, right? But recognizing like, boy, I really am out of sorts when things don't go my way. That could be a reckoning for people, because some people have, they can get old not recognizing that.
Mm-hmm.
And that could have destroyed a lot of relationships in your life, because what do you do when it's out of control, right? Do you shut down? Do you lash out? Because the people who are close to you are the ones who are receiving that. It's not usually just you who is responding to it, because you have your circles around you that recognize that you are not responding well to this. This is a weak spot for you. So how do you pivot to that? How do you adjust to that? And I think recognizing it, back to your point, is probably the first key to that.
Mm-hmm.
And then making your adjustments, right? At least being honest with it.
Yeah, I mean having a good why.
Hmm.
Yeah, and I don't think that's something that you can set on like a case by case basis, because every case is different. It's got to be something at like an elevation of 30,000 feet, like a big purpose goal. Because again, you can't. This is what I try to do a lot at work. Um, like setting goals. Like a lot of the people that I bring on, I tell them there's no way we can live with me telling you how to respond to a case by case situation. There isn't, because there's billions of them, right? There's an unknown amount of these unpredictable events that can happen, and they're all different from one another. So how can I have an individual answer for each of those? It's not going to happen. We don't live in a black and white world like that. You're going to have to figure this stuff out on your own. But I will tell you that when you make your decision, aim for this, whatever that may be. If there's an issue with, I don't know, company culture, right? Aim for, well, we're trying to have a respectful, positive work environment. So whatever I do, I'm trying to get there. And even if you're wrong some steps along the way, which you probably are because you're figuring it out, right?
Sure.
You're still going to end up there as long as you don't quit. As long as you don't quit until you get to that result. Same thing with like, what do I do if a customer asks me to, I don't know, you know how food modifications can go in a restaurant, right? Yeah, eye roll. Exactly. That's what everybody's get it, right? But I tell them, the goal is just to try to be as accommodating as possible. And if you can't, give the customer the knowledge as to like why we can't. That's all. Just tell them like, sorry, we're super busy. Like, honestly, if you came in and it was a lot slower, you come in tomorrow, we can do this for you. But today, this is the best we can do, and this is why.
I'd like to replace the pancakes with bacon, please. With extra bacon.
Sure. Well, that I just tell them to leave. just
some chocolate mousse.
Some chocolate mousse, yeah. Exactly.
So you do a lot of mentoring, right?
A little bit. I'm honestly an amateur at it, but this is where like this is what gets me jazzed up about my job is like to have the opportunity to mentor people, kind of like share my vision, share some of the things that I've learned, things that have helped me. And it always comes with a disclaimer of like, I don't know if it's going to be right for you, but it's something. I know some things, I'm going to tell you them, and you're really going to get good at them in the world, practicing them. That's the best I could do.
But you know, what I love about what you do with your people is that you really care about them, right? Like, there's plenty of owners out there that do not really care. They're just disconnected. They don't care about their people.
Dude,
like, whatever.
Kitchen nightmares.
Kitchen nightmares, right?
Kitchen nightmares.
Just watch Kitchen Nightmares.
Yeah.
It's loaded with those guys. But you're not that. I mean, you care about your employees. You care about the people who are walking in, and you pour into them, right? And I think you're a humble guy to say, well, you know, I'm just an amateur at it, but I mean, you're their leader, right? And so to be able to spend the time with them, I think that's admirable because it's actually a pretty rare quality.
Mm.
But I think what makes you a strong leader in that is the compassion that you have for them. You know, because if you find them in a place where maybe they're hitting a tough spot, like you care about that. You know, you're going to meet them where they're at, and you're going to address that. You're going to square up to that, not just ignore it and be like, it's your problem to solve. You know, and maybe you can't solve it, but at the very least, you're showing them that you care about what they're going through as a member of your team. And
I do, and it sucks because like I can't spend all of my time focusing on that and thinking about that alone.
Sure.
Like running a business is a lot of other things. I try to do as much as I can, and you always wish there was more time, more energy, you know? You wish things didn't take as long so that you could do more of them. You know, but it does hurt. Like that guy that I led to you, right? Like things just didn't end up working out with him, and sucked. It sucked to see it because I know why. I have a good idea as to why it didn't work out with him, and it was a lot of internal stuff. A lot of internal stuff that needed to be worked on. And I've seen it a lot in life where people, I don't know how it happens, man, but somebody sometimes needs to turn the light onto those things for them because it's really hard to recognize them yourself. Things that you struggle with, that you don't recognize that you're doing all the time. And it takes the right kind of person too. You can always have, like, I don't know, just simply put, just like bad romantic relationships where someone always calls out your flaws, but they do it in the worst way, right? The most unproductive way that just makes you turn into a worse version of yourself just a little bit differently, you know?
Right.
So it's a really tough thing to figure out, but yeah, definitely seen a lot of people who struggle because of the internal battles, and a lot of it is like they just don't even, I think, realize, number one, like their own potential. Number two, uh, an example I always think of is like when you get in an argument with someone and they're raising their voice and they're clearly angry with their body language and their voice, volume, and tone. And you're like, why are you angry right now? And they slam their hand on the table. I'm not angry. Like, they just don't recognize that they're even like coming off that way.
Right.
So, yeah. Still, from time to time, I think about that guy. I'm a little bummed. I hope he's doing all right. He was going through so much stuff, you know?
Yeah, I could tell. But I think that's the difference between a manager and a leader, right? A manager's just managing the numbers, the process, making sure that there's efficiency in the things that are being done. But a leader is someone who is leading people.
Mm-hmm.
And you're taking what's given to you to the extent that you can, right? That you could be responsible for. But then actually maybe even going beyond that and taking the people that you're leading and helping them to improve.
Mm-hmm.
Because
Yeah.
when you have a better employee, that's better production, right?
Dude, it's all about team. It's like it's building the team to be independent, to work. I mean, I don't know. Doing a lot of reading and learning things as much as I can, right? Sorry. I don't want to go there. I was pretty much just going to ramble. I could feel that a ramble was coming with very little value, so I'm just going to end it there. Not going to do the ramble with little payoff. Not going to do it.
Well, hey, I appreciate you. You know, just for what you're doing.
Yeah, thanks, man.
And I don't know. Can I give a pitch to the house?
Sure, if you want. Who cares?
All right.
Whatever.
So Jeremy is one of the owners of the original Pancake House, and it's just a great spot for breakfast. So if you ever are feeling some breakfast, go check out the original Pancake House. Give a little support to our
thanks,
guy here,
man.
Jeremy.
Thanks.
Yeah, you guys do great work. It's actually one of Ani's favorite restaurants, just so you know. She loves it there.
Nice. Dude,
Yeah.
so we're about to get, I'm really excited. We're about to get some new bacon, and I think it's going to be killer. We're getting 2 different new types that we're going to trial. It's twice the thickness of what we use now.
Really?
Yeah, and I like both flavors. I kind of just want to roll out one for a week to see what kind of feedback we get, unsolicited, you know, because we have a lot of regular customers and they're not shy to like let us know when something's not right, or they definitely know when things are different, which is good. So yeah, we're gonna do 2 weeks of trial and then we're just gonna pick one and then run with. But I'm so excited. I spent so much time eating the bacon, like, because you know, like you call the guy in and you're like, what do you got, and they show you the samples, so you eat the samples, and then I'm like, I'm not sure, kind of on the fence, and they're like, I'll send you more samples to try. So I've just been eating a lot of bacon this year.
If Gordon Ramsay shows up, he's going to give you the honest feedback.
He is. I hope to God he doesn't show up though. That guy's terrifying. He's way above everybody. It's unbelievable, this man. Oh my gosh. A great character to watch on the screen, but I would probably be very anxious if he showed up in front of my face. In the work environment. If I saw him on the street, I'd be like, "Oh, dude, what's up?
Hero. You know,
You're my man."
I would not want to be on the receiving end of him because he would just
No
blow
way.
you open.
No way.
You know?
I mean, I'll admit,
Yeah.
yeah. Not many people can be that. That's for sure. Dude, so I sent you an email a while ago.
Did I respond to this?
You did.
Did I?
But
Okay.
dude, this isn't like I
I'm
sent
the-
you an
I'm-
email a while ago, man.
Wait,
You
here's
never
the-
called.
I'm-
You never called
I'm
me
so
back.
far behind on email. Like
Email
right now,
is a black freaking hole.
man.
It's almost like when you get to a point of like you're doing so much in life, like email is at the bottom of the list, and like even text messages become hard to keep up with sometimes.
Thank you. I'm glad we're having this conversation because here I'm thinking I'm on this lonely island where
No,
I'm
dude.
consistently 70 to 150
If you're
emails
in a
behind.
work environment or any kind of lifestyle where you're interrupted on like a 5 to 10 minute basis, forget it. Because you'll see a text, you'll be in the middle of responding to it, and like it's important how you respond, right? So it's got to be a good response.
Right.
And you're like, I'll finish that later. And then you get 30 more texts in the meantime. And
This is my guy.
5 to 10 days later, you're like, I am such a bad person for not. I just realized I never responded to that human.
I'm consistently underwater with messages. I'm just,
Yeah.
and then I get lost with them, and so there's plenty of junk tossed into it. So not every email is a priority, and so you're like, okay, and I'm constantly unsubscribing from things I didn't even sign up for. And I'm like, all right, come on, stop filling up my stuff. But there's plenty of them that you need that thoughtful answer. And
I'm so bad at it. It takes me like 30 to 40 minutes to do a good email.
Oh,
And that's not even a long one. That's just like a concise. What I actually had the thought of, though, and I got to remember to try this, is templates. Like, because if you get like the same kind of email, you got to have some kind of template. It's got to save you time, right?
so I've set some of those up. Right?
Oh,
so
nice.
like when I have inquiries from young adults about new to the area, looking for a community to plug into, I had a template for that. You know, I actually set up a number, like maybe 4 or 5 templates that I could just auto roll and just tweak and send. But I don't know what happened, but that system got blown apart where it just was. I thought I was setting myself up for success, but then I was getting all of the internal like dialogue emails or like then I get a question about vocations, you know, like I'm thinking about getting married and I need to talk, you know, like, well, I can't use my template for that. I'm like, am I going to set up a template to talk about somebody about, and I was getting all these oddball things that weren't fitting the templates. And all of a sudden I put them aside and then I started getting
now you have 97 templates.
You're scrolling for half an hour trying to find the right one.
Now you got to do Control F for like to keyword the template in.
This is where ChatGPT comes in, right?
Dude,
answer
oh
this
my
email.
God. Did I tell you the story about my dad and ChatGPT?
No.
My dad is not very good at. He's like us, not very good at keeping up with emails. It's fine. He's very, very busy, but he's also not like the best, well written, spoken. He's not an idiot, right? He's not an imbecile, but still. All of a sudden, in my life, about like a month ago, known this guy for a long time. Okay, I'm like, he's sending out emails at a pretty efficient pace, and they sound good. And I'm like, I just think it in my back of my head, like, wow, like he's really picked up his game. Like this, is not bad. Proud of him. That's good. And I made a point to tell him, like, hey, I don't know what you're doing, but like, your emails, like, I don't know, like, you're all of a sudden they're like really well worded to the point. And he's like, I've been using ChatGPT for emails, and I'm like, okay, this good for you.
The future of the life.
You know what though? Accept what you're not good at. Use the tool that helps you get there. But it was a funny moment for me. For me.
So I've used ChatGPT in a number of ways, and it's a good editor. So if you're saying, hey, check over for errors on this email, and so I've done that a number of times where I'll just copy and paste the email and say, check for errors, and it'll point out some word structure issues. And I'm like, oh, right, okay, all right, you know, I'll adjust and I'll send it. So it's a good editor, right? It's good on language. So okay, good. But I've used some bulletin announcements where, you know, I'm crushing out a few things. I'm like, last thing I want to do is do this like bulletin letter, and I'll type off, make this better, and I'll have like a baseline message. Fill this out, right? And ChatGPT will fill out this incredible church message, and I'm like, holy cow, this is good. And then you just kind of personalize it to St. Greg's, and I sent a couple of those out. Hey, here's the behind the scenes cheats, right?
Yeah, right.
Life hacks of
He's
the youth
a fraud.
minister. but it's helpful when your plate is fully loaded. You're like, I need an assistant to be doing these types of things. And AI has actually proven to be somewhat of a help with some of these things.
Yeah.
I don't know how we got the ChatGPT.
Because I'm glad. Okay, so I sent you an email a while ago.
Right, okay.
I sent you an email a while ago. And I was explaining a weird moment in my life, just having panic attacks for like the first time in my life.
Mm.
And again, it was a lot of this stuff kind of like mounting and didn't know how to do it. And it was, I don't know if you've ever had panic attacks before.
Yeah.
It's weird, man. It's a very weird thing. I thought I've had them, but I never had them. And now I'm having them. And it's this, I won't go into describing what it feels like, but at the end of it, you're just like exhausted because it's just like so draining. And eventually I was like, I can't keep doing this. Like, I can't keep having these like once every few days, multiple times a week. I got to do something about it. So the first step was recognizing, trying to find what's causing them. Like, what's the root of this? And I don't know if I figured that out. But one of the answers, again, if you don't know where you're going, any road will take you there. So I was like, okay, well, I know one of my tendencies, one of my personality traits is fear of conflict. I face conflict every day of my life. Like, there's conflict all the time. So maybe this is what's causing it. I was like, I gotta think of something to just not be afraid of conflict anymore. And I can't remember. I probably had a few drinks over a few days just pondering this thing late at night. And I started thinking of almost like I got to the mindset of like being the bully against it, almost in a way. Like, I'm gonna pick on you. I'm sick of you picking on me. I'm gonna pick on you. And I think I might have been doing that, like while I was thinking, like, I'm gonna pick on you. And I was like poking. And I don't know how it came up, but I thought of poke the bear.
Mm.
And typically when you hear poke the bear, it's by the way, disclaimer, this is still a work in progress, so I'm probably gonna butcher the hell out of it. But here's the gist of it, right?
It's part of the process. Right?
It's called poke the bear. Typically, when you think of poke the bear, what do you think of? Like when someone says, "Oh, don't poke the bear,"
and don't mess with something that's going to come back at you.
Right, exactly. Like the bear is this just crazy physical specimen that will destroy you.
Right.
It will tear you apart, right? Don't poke it. It's going to destroy you, right? I'm thinking now, no, screw that. I'm going to poke the bear. But unless you want to get destroyed, there's a way you have to poke the bear. You have to do it appropriately. There's a technique to it. There's some flair, I guess. Because there's going to be points in life when you have to poke the bear. And unless you want to get your ass torn up, you got to do it the right way. So I spun this into this kind of long acronym. Acronym's the word, right? When you have a phrase, a word, and then there's other words for each letter in the word. Acronym, right? Mm-hmm. So poke the bear stands for, I'm going to make sure I get this right. Poke is purpose, openness, kindness, and elevate.
Well,
okay.
This is getting deep.
The is time, home, energy. Bear is breathe, eat, accept, reflect. So each of those words is the strategy for how to effectively poke the bear, to fight the demon, the dragon, whatever it is, to get by your obstacle appropriately without just like ruining your life, just getting torn into pieces. So a level deeper. Purpose. I'm so glad we talked about the why today because it leads with that. Purpose. You have to have a purpose. If you're going to poke the bear willy-nilly, you're running a risk, man. Like you can easily end up in a bad spot, right? You have to have a good purpose. You have to have a why in life. You have to have like a strong reason for doing things. Make sense? Right, purpose.
Yeah.
Like good enough? I don't want to ramble on too much for each of these.
No,
so
I'm right there with. Actually, this is great stuff. You're teaching me
cool.
something here.
So openness is the next one. It was almost like we talked about this already too. Like being open to things that you can't control. Being open to the way people respond to things. Being open to the way you feel about or maybe initially react to things or want to react to things. You have to be open to a lot of things in life. Just about everything, right? To effectively poke the bear, especially when it comes to being a leader. You can't be in a defensive position. You can't lead behind walls. You have to be open to stuff. kindness. I don't know if this is like a. I'm just realizing now this might be kind of like a cop out for me because I am so typically afraid of conflict that what I end up doing is beating around the bush with things. And I've gotten a lot better at it, but my tendency is to beat around the bush because, again, you don't want to stir the pot too much. You don't want to piss somebody off. So you beat around the bush, handle it softly. But the problem with that is you can end up with giving a lot of misdirection. By the end of the conversation, someone's like, I really don't know what he wants from me. Too indirect. So I figured, well, if I'm going to poke the bear, if I'm going to attack things that make me feel anxious, I'm going to have my mindset full of kindness. I'm going to have purpose. I'm going to be open to what can happen, but I'm going to do it with kindness. I don't know. It's just kind of like, I guess just like it's a thing for me. It's a self principle. Just go forward with kindness, right? And then E, elevate. Another personal thing for mine, and it really relates to work, and we've talked about it again today, is elevating the performance of people around me. Just like elevating the teams there and kind of instilling that wisdom or that mindset into the other leaders in my company of it's important to elevate the people around you. You can't be a one-stop shop. You can't do everything yourself. There's just no good things come of it, right? There's no like prize points for being the only one that does something in your department or your organization, right? Like, who cares? You're going to burn yourself out. You're going to feel like crap. You're never going to feel like you're getting enough recognition for it. And now, everyone on your team, everyone beneath you and around you, all your coworkers, everyone in the organization surrounding you thinks, I don't have to do anything because this guy's going to do it all. Or this girl's going to do it all. Hey, you got a problem? Just give it to them. They'll take care of it. Where does that land you? Just like in a huge world of hurt. So it's so important to elevate the performance of the people around you. Elevate just everything about them as much as you can, right? So that's poke. That was a lot, sorry. So time, home, energy. Time. Very simply put, it's just a part of life. It's a rule. It exists. It has rules. Spend it accordingly. That's it for time. Home. I needed to remember that because so often, especially running a business, you bring that home with you. And it's so hard to let it go. It's a 24/7 thing. I needed in this acronym or whatever to remember that no, home is it's my home base. It's my recharge center. I'm not going to fill it with negativity that exists elsewhere in the world. I need it to be a safe place, the recharge center. It's my home base. Also, it's your castle. Protect it at all costs. You know, not just the physical home, but your wife, your husband, your kids, your family, like all that stuff. It's the only place when everything is gone that you can go to regroup. So make sure that it's there when you need it, you know, and in a good place. Energy. Very similar to time. Energy has rules. Use it accordingly. Just like tonight, if I stay up too late, if I have too many of these, I'm going to feel a little bit slower tomorrow. You know, just remember that those things exist. Energy is a thing. There's a finite amount of it. There's ways to get more of it, and there's ways to deplete it. Those are rules. Just be aware of them and spend it accordingly. So the last bit, bear. Breathe, eat, accept, and reflect. Breathe. I wanted to use breathe because it's almost like it's my mobile home. It's my mobile home base, my breath. I kind of got a little bit into meditation over the last couple of years, on and off, you know. But one thing that I held on to it was the power of just like centering yourself on your breath, just calming yourself down. Especially for me, poking the bear is a very anxiety-producing thing, and I'm rarely poking the bear at home. I'm always on the go, right? I can't rush home and regroup every time like I'm in the middle of a conversation. It's stupid. That never happens in life. So you need a way, whatever it is, to be able to center yourself, to regroup like an inner home base while you're on the go, if that makes sense. And that's just something to remember. Like, damn, there's nothing to grab onto right now. Nope. I got my breath. Let me just take a minute. Let me take a breath. I don't have to rush through everything in life. Let me take a breath. Let me settle down, refocus, calm down a little bit. It's going to be fine, you know? Eat. Very similar to time and energy. There's rules of food, and it plays into energy, and energy plays into time. There's rules to eating. Just be aware of it and eat accordingly. Accept and reflect rounds out this whole thing. Accepting, it kind of fits in with openness a little bit, but just the importance of, again, accepting the things that we can't control. That's step number one. Because if you're always fighting things that happen, that's all you end up doing. You're always in a battle. You're always a victim, you know? Accept, accept, accept. No matter what it is, accept. There's a way around it. Something happens, accept it, figure it out, move on. And reflect. I think the very last thing that I try to remind myself to do, and I don't do it all the time, you know, but just trying to remember self-reflection is so key, you know, especially if you have strong whys. How did I do on my whys today? How did I do in that conversation? How did I do in that meeting? How was my body language? How was my attitude? How was I at home today? Did I have the appropriate energy? What was my face saying when I was at home after an exhausting day of work? You know, and this method, it's not batting 1,000, right? It's not, but it was something that I came up with to kind of help me get by what I had to get by, and now it just kind of like dances around a little bit. It's not like a staple. I don't have it on a sticky note in my car dashboard or anything like, but it's something I've been thinking about, just kind of like working on a little bit, and yeah, I wanted to share it with you because I know that's the kind of stuff that you're into.
Hey man, there's a lot of wisdom in that. I'm going to be pondering that because I think that there's some, like, that's a great acronym to be able to step into. Like, face value, you could say, like, well, that's a lot.
Yeah.
But the first level of that is, and you're setting the story straight. I think storytelling is an important part of being able to move a message, right? And so I think that the story behind that of squaring up to something, everybody knows what it means to poke a bear, right? Like, don't poke the bear. Everybody knows that. But to put the acronym to that, especially in dealing with the fear in their life, I think that's a great acronym, actually. I'm going to be pondering that for a bit. But,
cool.
I mean, dude, you could write a book out for that. But
Maybe a pamphlet. Let's start there.
A pamphlet.
A pamphlet. A two-sided piece of paper.
You know, the first step is getting onto a podcast that you can flesh it out with.
Yeah, I mean, I think great books come from people who have great experiences. You know, and if I were to write a book on it, I'd need some more experience with it first to really tell a good story with it.
I like that acceptance part. And
Accepting what?
Acceptance.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Just earlier today, I was listening to a talk with Jocko Willink.
Yeah.
Navy SEAL.
Yeah.
Big fan of his. Discipline Equals Freedom field manual. Big fan of that. So I've been following him for a while. But his good story, where he tells the story of when somebody came up to him and was telling him about bad stuff, right? The stuff that was happening in his life. And Jocko's response was just good. So every time somebody comes up, it's like, oh, this terrible thing happened. Good? What?
Yes. Yep.
You know, and so he would elaborate more like, you know, my kid got ran over by a bus. Good. It's like, what? You're like, how insensitive can you be? And so he goes through this litany where when you accept it, right, when you accept the thing that's happening to you, see the good that comes out from that, right? Because the bad stuff's going to happen. Okay, good. Bring it. Because there's something that will be a catalyst to change on the other side of that.
Yeah.
You know?
Dude, that's like, now that I think about it, that's kind of a resonating theme with our whole time spent together tonight is talking about the benefit of going through struggles on the hikes. Just the benefit of going through struggles in life with mine, going from life's a bully to life's, what did I say? Oh my God. Personal trainer. you know?
Right.
And then this, like, had I not been in a place so bad, I wouldn't have, I don't know, I had a good why. I wanted to get past this thing. Fell onto something that I thought sounded good that I could work with to help myself. But yeah, I like that. When bad things happen, good.
Good. And I think anybody that's listening, you probably have something that has hit you in the wrong way, right? You have some adversity in your life that just hits you the wrong way. You regret it. You say, "Oh, I wish that never happened." Of course, right? Because that's an easy answer to get. I wish this didn't happen to me. I wish this didn't happen to you. I wish you didn't experience that.
Mm-hmm.
And tragedy can come in a lot of different ways. Okay. I can't say good to your battle with cancer, right? I can't say good to your to the death of your child, right? That type of thing. Like, there's an extent to that where I personally would really struggle to say the Jocko Willink line, right? Like, I can't say I buy into all of that,
Right.
because there's a point when you're just like, man, I just have to empathize and be with you on that because I can't tell you good. Like, I don't have that heart, right? But even in the midst of those trials, right? So, like, we had a few miscarriages, and even on the other side of that trial, I know my faith has expanded in the midst of that because I know my pursuit of answers of that has sent me into a much deeper course of my faith of trying to understand, like, why is it that bad things happen to good people, right? And I got answers in spades on that, right? That I would not have pursued if I didn't have these tragedies, right? So while there's a soft response to, like, good to hearing the tragedy of others, I know in my own space, I know there's good that comes out of even the darkest of spots, right? And I think that place that you're talking about where life is a bully, yeah, I think we found the title of this episode, right? Life is a
Life
bully.
is a bully,
I like
sure.
that, right?
Yeah, that's good.
But that challenge, when you pair that with a why, boy, it just bears a lot of fruit.
Mm-hmm.
Because then there's purpose in the midst of the tragedy. There's purpose of your rebound. There's purpose of you climbing back, right? Of trying to reclaim victory.
Mm-hmm.
And sometimes victory comes, sometimes it doesn't. Sometimes you just lost.
Yeah. Oh,
Right?
yeah.
And,
That's a tough one to swallow, too.
It is.
Look, I'm squirming in my seat just thinking about it. Like, yeah, that's tough, man. When you try real hard and you still fail.
There's a lesson even in the midst of that.
It is. Yeah, there is. It's tough, but it's so hard, man, because, like, it's so easy to just get, like, stuck in the right now. But life is long. So many things. I mean, hopefully life is long, right? Even a short life is a long period of time to gain wisdom. And, oh, man, you struggle with so much in life, right? Like, there's the things that you're trying to do. There's, like, the physical things, like the task kind of stuff. And then there's the family building kind of stuff. And then there's financial building kind of stuff. And then there's, like, the inside personal building kind of stuff. There's so much building going on, and, like, we're not professionals at it out of the gate, right? So there's so much failure. So much failure in life if you think about it. It's incredibly overwhelming. If you look at, hopefully, I bet you the most fruitful lives, though, have the most failure in them. If there was a way to, like, pull them out and fill buckets with them, you'd get more buckets full of failure than success. And
Oh, no doubt about it. But that's where the growth lies, right?
Mm-hmm.
And drawing an analogy here, right? Hey, sneak peek. My book is just about published.
Dude,
right?
that's the
Which is-
congrats that I forgot.
Oh,
Oh,
well, so-
man. Last
Hey,
congrats. Yes, congrats.
Um,
That's so fun. Yeah.
So,
Good job, dude.
hey,
How long did
that's
that
exciting.
take you? Speaking of how long things take with a lot of failures in the way.
Too long. So when I first started writing that, right, and I want to come back to the analogy piece because
Sorry, yeah,
I
yeah.
actually think that fits like right in what we're talking about. But to lay out that story, 2008, I was maybe 22, 23. I started writing this journal. And I was not somebody who was into journaling. We were at this camp. We were taking the teens from the church. And we were in this session at Cove Crest. Life Teen runs this camp called Cove Crest, and this guy was giving this talk about journaling. And I'm like, I don't journal, dude. I was way too cool for school for that. I was like, I'm not into this diary stuff.
Yeah, it's for girls.
Yeah. What am I, 12 years old? Come
Yeah.
on, I'm 22.
Dude, if it
I
makes
don't
you
need to
feel
do that.
better, I was probably like 14 and I had a little Harry Potter journal with like a little lock on it. I would write stuff being angry about my parents in it.
Hey, man, I hate you, Dad.
Exactly. Yeah. Can't stay up late. Whatever. What is this nonsense? Yeah.
Someday when I run this company, I'm going to have better bacon.
Yeah, sure. No, that wasn't me. I never wanted to, but
Oh.
this is more like, all my friends are hanging out and I'm stuck in here doing my homework. What is this? Yeah. Sorry. Distracting again.
No,
Interrupting.
that's part of it.
So you were too cool for journaling.
I was too cool for it, but they literally handed us journals, put it right in our hand, gave us a pen, and said, "Get outside and journal. You got 45 minutes to go and journal." I'm like, "Come on." I didn't know what to write. I didn't know how to share my thoughts or my feelings or my prayer or anything like that. So I was like, "All right." So I planted myself down in Georgia, in the base of this tree, and I just the first thing I write down is like the Our Father, right? I'm like, all right, that's what I know, right? But as I was thinking, because I was in this midst of this vocational challenge where I really wanted to find my wife, but I was also feeling called to the priesthood, and I was doing this wrestle, and so in that moment, I'm like, you know what? I'm gonna put this down. I'm gonna write a letter to my wife, and so I wrote this love letter to my future wife, right? Like I don't know who you are, and someday I bet you're awesome. I can't wait to meet you, and I'm praying for you. And I kind of went on this thing, right? And after that, maybe another two posts by the time I left camp over that week. And I didn't touch it for a little bit, but then I kept seeing like God coming back into my life, and I was like, you know what? I think I'm gonna write that down, right? And so I wrote it down, and seriously, it reads like a 5-year-old, right? I'm sitting there and
Mm-hmm.
I'm writing like a little baby, right? But as I start finding a voice over the course of this journal, I end up filling this out over a period of 8 years. And by the time I get to the end, I'm married. I'm just fresh off of my honeymoon, back from Poland from World Youth Day, and that's when I finish it. And I was like, man, there's a lot of forming that has come from this,
Mm.
a lot of formation, and a lot of heating and a lot of hammering, where I felt like like God was just forming me as a piece of iron, like just raw to begin with, like as this little baby who's writing.
Yeah.
And he formed me over this period of time to be an instrument of his, right? And so in the period of this time, like the vocation was resolved, my career was resolving in the way of ministry, and and by the end of it, I saw a lot of lessons in there that I was like, man, I think a lot of young men need to see this as a witness. I felt this prompting of, hey, you need. So when I finally finished that was in 2016, 2016, right? 8-year period by the time I put the pen down and closed the cover. And I started the next one just after that. But then I kind of sat on it for a little bit. I'm like, is this something that I need to share? There's a lot of personal stuff in here that, like, do I actually want to put this out
Right,
there?
right.
And to what degree do I share it? Like, do I take things out, or do I just be as honest as possible? And just kind of praying about that, letting it sit and percolate. Probably took another year and a half before I finally kind of committed to saying, I think I'm gonna go all in. Whatever it is, the impurities of just my writing style, the impurities of my journey. I need to just put it down. If I'm going to do that, it just needs to be raw. It just needs to be whatever it is going to be. And that was scary. So I was like, okay, I'm going to commit to that, but I don't know how to do this now, right? So, okay, so I took some more time. And probably around 2018, maybe 18 and a half to 19, I finally sat down and committed to a writing schedule. Every Tuesday, Thursday, I'm going to sit down before work, and I'm just going to write until this is finished. I'm going to take it from my journal, and I'm going to sit at the keyboard, and I'm going to plug in. So Monday, Wednesday, Friday was my gym time before work. Tuesday, Thursday was my writing time. And it took me just over a year to actually get it into the computer. And then it took another maybe 3 months to put some context to it, to fill in the gaps, where it's not just a raw journal like Our Father who art in heaven. To put some prologue to it, to put a little, to distill what the message was.
Right. Yeah.
And put that together. And then after I finally sat down, then I was in pursuit of finding an editor to sit down and help me to go through this. I wanted the journal entries to be raw. I didn't want anything changed from the grammar. I just wanted that to be as raw as possible, right? Just to lay it on the line. But all the context I need an editor for. I said I need to do this, and I found a great one. And she helped me kind of purify that in a way. Just remove all of the grammatical errors and all that. Okay, great, check. So this is looking like a product, something that I can actually be proud of and put forward. Okay, and I knew nothing of the publishing process. I'm like, okay, well, how do I publish this? I just send it to publishers.
Yeah.
So then I started kind of learning a little bit about the publishing process, and every publisher was different in my eyes. So just everyone was requiring something different. And I thought it was you submit something, and maybe they just reject it, or like,
right.
Expect a high rejection rate. Okay, I expect that.
Yeah.
But what I wasn't expecting was what they were actually looking for in the midst of this, which was many of these places were looking for hard copies, like printed, sent to them,
right,
finished.
A finished
You
product.
already have your audience. You already have all this stuff. I just thought, like, you send it to them, they just put it in their channels. It becomes like their thing on their website. The first thing that pops up, new writer Adam Jaros, we're going to spotlight. No, that's not how any of that worked. So you already had to have, for many of these publishers, books already in tow. You already have to have a big following and all that kind of stuff. I'm like, well, I don't have that. So how do I get this done? Finally distilled my way down to, I'm just going to self-publish this thing. And I was in between a few companies that were doing that. And it was expensive. It was just out of reach to have a good product. Amazon, you can print, you can have your book out there, but the quality control on it and even the cost of it just wasn't what I was looking for. I'm like, if I want to send this out, I want it to be a good product. I want it to be something that's in your hand. It looks good. It feels good.
I know, man. I tried convincing you to do the audiobook.
Look, I'm going to get there. Maybe.
I was trying to save you steps because I remember you were talking to me about this, like when you're in the middle of the struggle,
right.
And I was like, dude, just do an audiobook.
But there's a lot of doubt that goes into this, where it's just checking your grit.
Meanwhile, I know nothing about audiobooks or publishing or books or anything in general about books.
At this point,
and I was like, Adam, trust me, bro.
Right?
Just do the audiobook.
Just
You'll be
in front
fine.
of a microphone, and we can
right,
that
right,
thing out,
exactly, yeah.
But a lot of self-doubt comes in there. You get that imposter syndrome that comes in that just sneaks in there. Like, who are you? Do you really think do you think you're an author? You're not an author, Adam. You don't have what it takes.
Dude, that was probably the biggest thing that turned me off of writing music was the imposter syndrome. I don't think I ever fully understood what the imposter syndrome was until you just explained it to me now. Literally, it came to a point in my life where I was like, why would anybody care what I have to say about the world?
And that's where I was at, right?
Yeah.
Because it it comes at you with a whole array of assaults, right? It's
Mm.
like you're not good enough. Who wants to hear you? You don't have a story to tell.
Yeah.
You don't. You're not even
Exactly.
good enough.
Yep.
Look at your chicken scratch. You think somebody cares about your story? Everybody has a story on what makes you
Mm-hmm.
different, right? And so you get all sorts of things, and you're like, I would just be pretending this character, right?
Mm-hmm.
I'm just gonna pretend my life, right? My life is really just pretend. Someone's gonna think that this isn't real. You're not real. You're just some guy, right? Just sitting there trying to make a dollar. You're nobody, right? And that rattles inside, right? And it just challenges every step of the way.
Mm-hmm.
And so every click to the next publisher, every send, everything, you're like, Adam, who are you? You don't need to send that right now.
Right.
You're not good enough to send that, you know. And I had some internal growth of that because at first I was like, yeah, I'm not going to send that. And there'd be periods of time when like I didn't send. I didn't do it because I was like, yeah, that voice is right. You know, I'm just an imposter sitting here. Like, who am I? I'm just some guy doing a thing, right? But then you saddle back up. You say, no, I am good enough. And maybe the voice is right on some points. Like,
You got your Rocky moment
yeah,
where you're just like, no, I'm not going down. Like you're getting,
Adrian,
yeah,
you know?
you're getting back up, and then Apollo's just like, man, this guy won't quit. Yeah,
yeah.
you got to be that
But
way.
you have to get back up.
Yeah,
You know, and you have to get to the end, no matter what the cost. Get to the end, and even if I sell one copy and it's really just a gift to my mom and she keeps it up on her shelf, you know, the goal's done, the dream's there,
right.
right? But I'm learning along the way what it means
Mm-hmm.
to be able to tie this in to what Righteous Co is, and along the way, Righteous Co has grown, and what the vision and field of view is for that. And so, okay, so as this book has been going, like when that first got started, Righteous Co was nothing. You know, like it wasn't there. So if I would have published that way back in the time, it just would have been out there and like, okay, and under what architecture, to what purpose, what end. God's timing is perfect, right? And so as I'm wrestling and kind of growing through this and defeating this imposter syndrome, at this point, I don't even care anymore. You know, like what I'm putting, like you read it, you think it sucks, fine. It's not for
Yeah.
you. But it's going to be for somebody because I know that
Yeah.
young men need to hear some of the messages that are in this book. You know, that you are good enough, that life is going to be hard, and that God's going to lead you through it. He's forming you in the midst of these challenges. And back to that point of that analogy, right? Iron, when you dig that up from the ground, you can't do much with it. It's brittle. It's got a lot of impurities in it. But through high heat and hammering, well, you get those things out. And a blacksmith will do that, right? You sit there, you got a hammer, you got your anvil, and you got your raw piece of iron, and you're working out the impurities. And so, you know, you got that Tony Stark moment where you're just, you know, you're hitting the iron and like the sparks are coming off, and you got your product at the end. Put it in the water, cools off, and you set it down, and you got something that you're working with. And that's how God is forming men, right? And that's how He formed me, was through a lot of these hard processes, these just hard. Put your nose to it, fail, go and fail, go feel that, and go get hit. But get back up.
That's the keyest. The keyest. Yeah, it's very important that you get back up, right? Because again, back to Jocko, you know, like all these tough points in life that we face. Are you gonna accept it? Are you gonna be ready for another one? You know, or are you just gonna give up? Are you gonna give up and say like, no, I don't want to deal with this pain anymore? And that's probably a big part of why like I don't like working out, because there's a huge pain that comes with it, just like that burning, the anxiety of like my breath being crappy. Like I can't keep up with my breath. My heart is racing, you know, and especially when that exercise is so foreign to you. It's like, oh my God, I'm dying.
Yeah.
Are you gonna accept it, and are you gonna be ready for more? Because that's the only way you really get to the end of the road here.
Right. But that's how growth is accomplished, right? There's no growth in complacency. There's no growth in comfort, right? So to be able to grow, you have to have that challenge in your life, because how else are you going to be pulled through that? And
I don't know.
I'm convinced that the challenge is the thing that
man.
gets you
Yeah, I mean,
moving.
it's funny because now that my head is in that space, I can't imagine being anywhere else. I can't. I know there was a time when I never wanted to be challenged. Things that were tough, I was like, nah, I'll just go play video games, whatever, you know. And now I'm like, it's gonna suck. It'll be okay.
It will be okay.
Yeah.
You just got to get back up.
Yeah.
Boy, that's a lesson. Well, hey, this is probably a good place to leave it.
Yeah, man. Cheers, brother.
Cheers.
Thanks for having me here. This was so much fun. Yeah, it's good.
Thanks for being on.
Yeah.
And it really is like that come full circle moment, because at the start of this process, joining in and kind of tech checking with me, going through and what does this look like? How do you do something like this? And joined me down at the library just to check things out. Here we are having a full episode. We're gonna have you on again too, by the way.
Cool. That'd be great. Yeah.
But it's just great hearing some of that with Poke the Bear too.
Poke the Bear, dude.
What a great
Poke the Bear.
Yeah.
Dude, there was like
thinking about that.
I don't know if you were big into the music scene, but I feel like there was a something the Bear kind of like big band in local area. I don't know. Something the Bunny and the Bear.
The Bunny and the Bear?
You don't remember them?
No.
Oh, dude. I don't think I was really into them, but I do know that they were pretty popular. We can't end the episode on like Bunny and the Bear. I feel like that was a long time ago. Well, aging myself. Oof. Big old OOF right there.
Hey,
Oof.
Hey, listen. I'm aging.
You're aging well though, man. Climbing mountains, looking like a lumberjack.
Yeah. Well, you know what? Today I was down at the studio with Dan, and
that's right. Yeah.
He was
doing photos.
He was doing some pictures today for the book cover, and so this is what I was wearing.
Dude, are you serious? Are you gonna have like in this book like a picture of like you doing one of these like on the inside flap?
It's gonna be on the back.
Okay.
Right? Dude, Dan's a wizard.
He is some serious business.
Oh man, if you ever need a photographer, Dan Ottaviano.
Yeah.
Wow. We're gonna have him on at some point here too, because
you gotta.
Oh, we're gonna get all the BC. We haven't even talked about BC, but
yeah.
We're in. This
you know what would
group.
be cool is if we had a BC kind of round table.
Yes, I think we can do that.
I think we can.
I think we can pull that
Dude,
off.
I got I think we can do it. I can help with some gear. I think we can make it happen.
Oh, let's make that happen.
Yeah.
Now that would be a conversation that, I mean, this is obviously a conversation you want to tune into, but that future episode, look forward to that, because the BC guys, it's a group of us that get together. We talk like this. This is actually how we talk.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And they're powerful conversation. Great group of guys. Jesse and Dan just do a great job on pulling that all together, and just pulling these guys in and having a solid group of accountability. Talking about accountability like with Exodus, but I think this is that type of group, because it keeps you in the game of your conversation and faithfulness.
It's guys who have really strong whys, and we're helping each other get there.
It's a powerful thing.
Yeah.
And we're going to get all of us together for that. I think
Yeah.
that studio.
That's going to be a riot. Yeah.
Oh, that's going to be
That'd be fun.
But, yeah, that's a great place to leave it.
Sure, yeah.
So, thanks for tuning in. If this was something that you enjoyed, hey, like and share it. YouTube, hey, we're just getting started with that. We're only a few episodes in, and this train's going to keep rolling. But also, you're going to want to be able to tune into the website, because that's kind of the communications hub. And the book, as well as the new shop that's going to be opening up. I've got a litany of swag. Great tees and stickers and all sorts of great stuff that you're going to want to add to your collection for when you're climbing and doing all the dreaming and doings. You're going to want to be in there. In addition to the book, I've got a new leather journal that's coming out. so you can track your own experience, be a witness in your life. Jesse Saltarelli, Newhouse Leather, is
Dude,
well,
that
he's
kid's
crafty.
unreal. Oh
Ooh,
my gosh. I'm so glad that he's like in my life.
oh,
You know, if it wasn't for Dan, I wouldn't know him. If it wasn't for people, I wouldn't know Dan. I wouldn't know you. So, God, do I feel blessed right now. That's awesome.
God is good. Well,
Yeah.
I'm blessed with you
Yeah,
guys.
yeah, yeah.
It's good to have good people in your life that you can sit down and have conversations like this with. And my challenge to you at home is to find this conversation in your life, right? To sit down and have that conversation. Because when you have this conversation on a regular basis, boy, it keeps the blade sharp, right? It keeps you want to be in the game, keeps you getting back up, right? If you don't have a strong why at the house, at home, or what your purpose is in life, boy, find some people who are going to hold you to account and get up and go. And don't let that imposter syndrome just sink your dream, because that's the iceberg to many Titanics. So don't do that. But thanks for tuning in, and we look forward to seeing you next time. Cool?
Yeah, man. Thank you.
This is awesome.
Yeah.
So have a great night, and we'll see you guys next time.